The Ravens Preview Show with Andy Poland starts right now.
It wasn't perfect, it wasn't pretty, but it was the Ravens.
Listen to all Ravens broadcasts right here on 6:30 a.m., the ESPN 630 app, or ESPN630DC.com.
And with 1:17 left to play, the Hayes in the barn.
Now, here's Andy Poland.
Ravens heading to Minnesota on Sunday for a 1 o'clock kickoff. Our coverage here on ESPN 630 gets underway at 12:30. This will be the 8th meeting between the Ravens and the Vikings all time. Last one, November 7th, 2021. Exactly 4 years ago today. The Ravens won 34-31 in overtime, 500 yards of offense, 247 on the ground, 253 through the air. Pretty much a 50-50 split. Lamar Jackson threw 2 interceptions, but he also threw 3 touchdown passes, beating Kirk Cousins, who was quarterbacking the Minnesota Vikings at that time. Resurgence for the Ravens. Got off to a terrible start at 1-5, but they beat the Bears at home 30-16, and then they beat the Dolphins 28-6 on Thursday Night Football. So they go into this well-rested, and there is the feel that this team can take it from here and possibly win the division after a 1-5 start, which would be absolutely remarkable. After they play at Minnesota on Sunday, they're at Cleveland. Then they got a string of home games against the Jets, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh before they go to Cincinnati again. So there is a stretch of some very winnable games there. And then a fairly tough finish to the season where they have to play at home against New England and finish up at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh. But they are feeling like they're very much back in the mix right now. And John Harbaugh commenting the other day about what it feels like after these back-to-back wins.
Done really well. I mean, it's 2 good games, so obviously getting Lamar back is a big part of that, but everything is really a big part of it. And even through the weeks where Lamar wasn't playing and with Tyler playing, and before that with Coop, I mean, you're just still trying to get better at everything you do, trying to find yourself offensively, what direction do you want to go with the guys you have. And it's an ongoing process through the whole season, I think, with every team. That's just part of it. You're never the same team at the end of the year that you were at the beginning of the year. You continue to grow, hopefully, in the right direction. That's what you aim for. So we're just trying to do that.
J.J. McCarthy back at quarterback for the Vikings. Impressive win last week against Detroit. But if you look at the numbers, they're not as good as Carson Wentz. You would think. Big upgraded quarterback, and in terms of record, I guess you could say that, because J.J. McCarthy as a starter this season is 2-1. Wentz was 2-3. But Wentz completed 65% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 85.8 QB rating, whereas J.J. McCarthy only completing 57% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, at a rating of 73. This was Harbaugh on the scouting report on a quarterback who played for his brother, won a national championship at the University of Michigan, and the quarterback that he will see on Sunday.
The biggest thing about JJ that I've watched over the years is the guy's a fighter. He's just a real fighter. He's a never say die guy. He never says die within a play. He never says die within a series. Never says die within a game. Never says die within a season, or within his career if you look at it. At Michigan. So I think you see that on tape. He's just a fighter. And that you respect that. So. Young quarterback, but our focus is really just playing defense as well as we can. They've got a lot of weapons. They got arguably one of the best. A lot of people say the best receiver in football. They've got a great receiving tight end. They've got, and then those complementary receivers. Number 3 and number 1 are really good too. So they've just got weapons. Their backs are really good. They've got their back, Aaron Jones back now as well. They got their physical back. So it's just It's a good offense, and he's a young quarterback, but he can run around and make plays with his legs as well, so just all of it.
Also want to keep the ball out of his hands, running the football. That's why they got Derrick Henry. He's had some issues with fumbles, but he seems back on track, as does the rest of the team, and this was Henry earlier this week on the Rich Eisen Show.
We hungry, focused, determined, resilient in our approach. Had some adversity early, and that comes with every season. But now we're ready to get things back on track, take it week by week, get better throughout the week through our preparation, and want to be 1-0 each and every Sunday.
Well, and in terms of that adversity that you're referring to, how has that sharpened the iron, do you think, for the 2025 Ravens, Derek?
I think that I think it's prepared us for for the rest of the season. We got some of the kinks out early. Some guys went through some injuries, and I think the bye week and us having another little mini bye week has helped guys get rested, everybody refocus, refresh, and ready to take it week by week. Just being 1-0 every week, that's the focus.
Okay, and what's been John Harbaugh's message throughout this entire process that you're willing to share?
I think it's the same thing. The preparation, be focused, get better every day, accountability, and week by week. We got a long road ahead of us, which we know, and not dig too far ahead of ourselves. Focus on the task at hand, put the work in, play our solid football, and focus on being 1-0. I think that's all you can do.
Yep, and they will try to do that this week, a 1 o'clock kickoff at Minnesota. As for what happens, Mike Florio, Chris Sims on Pro Football Talk and a preview of Sunday's game.
The Ravens are favored by 4.5 points at U.S. Bank Stadium, over under a 49.5. 91% of the spread money is on the Ravens. The Ravens have no players on the injury report. Now, they may update it on Saturday, and
You're
but
funny.
Who do you like?
Well,
who do you like?
I hear everything you're saying. I hear everything. I certainly think the Vikings defense can give the Ravens some issues. I do. I mean, I just think that highly of Brian Flores. We saw what he did last week to the Detroit Lions. This offense has got, maybe not as many weapons as the Lions, but the difference is they got a quarterback where it's like if you move him off the spot, I don't know if that's a good thing. It might actually be a worse thing when you move Lamar Jackson off the spot. So the game can't be, hey, we move Jared Goff off the spot here. You let Lamar and they bring some of the blitzes they brought last week against Jared Goff. He's going to get outside and contain when Lamar Jackson's going to get outside, and it's going to be like, what do we do now? Our corners aren't that great, and we're covering for 6 or 7 seconds. That's where it's going to be interesting. I can see the Vikings be a pain in the ass, but I also can see the Vikings blitzing in a big moment and Lamar making one guy miss and all of a sudden like Zay Flowers is wide open, something like that. I could see a lot of big plays and some negative plays. The question is, can the Vikings offense consistently move the ball in the Ravens defense? Like you said, they're healthy. They're damn good. I feel like they figured out a few things with their scheme that they're doing different that way. And that's my question mark. I'm going to go Ravens 24-21. I think this will be a fun game.
Oh, man. So close. I've gone back and forth on this, and part of it, I guess, is an emotional hedge, but part of it is just realistic. The Ravens feel like they're the better team right now. I don't know how the Vikings are going to respond a week after getting a division win on the road. We saw what happened the last time they came home against the Falcons in a big Sunday night game after beating the Bears, and it did not work out. Here's where I'm the most confused. The Flores-Lamar Jackson matchup. First week of the 2019 season, when Flores was the head coach of the Dolphins and Lamar Jackson was still a largely unproven commodity. He had played down the stretch in 2018, but Flores, hey, we're going to keep this guy from running, and what did he do? 5 touchdown passes, 59-10 romp of the Dolphins. Now, 2 years later, it was that Thursday night game when the Ravens went to Miami and Flores stymied the Baltimore offense 22-10. So I don't like.
He's
last
seeing
week,
more of that
they
defense.
Cooked up a plan.
Right.
They cooked up a plan that worked. This week, and I'm with you. Okay, they're going to cook up a plan, but will it work? And when the game's on the line, will the Ravens, who are extremely confident, I talked to Derrick Henry the other day. What's your confidence scale? 1 to 10 of making the playoffs. They're 3-5. He said it's a 10. So they know they can't lose another one. And I think there's a greater degree of desperation, even though the Vikings are getting closer and closer to that point as well.
Yeah.
24-23. We almost had a bingo, bango, bongo. 24-23. Ravens on a late field goal win the game and move to 4-5 and drop the Vikings to 4-5. And the Vikings are going to be in desperation mode if they lose this one. And it could go either way. There's no way this one's a best bet. But we'll see what the Ravens
the
and
Vikings don't have the
All
Ravens' desperation as far as expectations and what was expected. I think that's the big thing. And the Ravens have a veteran culture of football team where it just makes you feel like in a desperation game for both teams, I'm going to lean that way.
And the Ravens had extra time. And I think extra time makes a difference to get ready for a game where there is going to be a certain amount of a coaching chess match.
Yeah, that game against Miami was a Thursday night game, so basically 10 days of rest as they go into Minnesota on Sunday. There is one other footnote on this game. Mark Andrews, who already has the franchise record for most touchdowns, with 18 yards, will break the record for most receiving yardage on Sunday and address that this week.
I just feel incredibly blessed, one to be a part of such an amazing organization, throughout these last 8 years, and the incredible players that I've been able to take part with and play with and grow with, and extremely humbling to be around here and to be obviously playing with Lamar all these years and how many plays we've made, but just continue to get better, and I'm very thankful and I thank God at the end of the day.
And he has put behind him the disaster last year of dropping the 2-point conversion that could have tied the game against Buffalo, and come back and back on track with a team that got a hill to climb. I mean, you're not in great shape at 3-5, but the way the schedule sets up, especially if they win on Sunday, they will be in much better shape and maybe can make a run in the second half of the season. That does it for Ravens Preview. Again, the game of 1 o'clock kickoff coverage here on ESPN 630 gets underway at 12:30. 25 years ago today, what led us to the hanging chads and one of the most incredible elections in history.
Want to take ESPN 630 wherever you go?
Today, Junior!
Download the newly designed ESPN 630 app from the App Store on your iPhone or the Google Play Store. Use your hands-free setting or Bluetooth connection in your car.
Sensational.
And listen to us no matter how close or far you are from D.C. And don't miss a second of your favorite shows from anywhere in the world.
Oh, there it is.
ESPN 630, the sports capital. Now worldwide from your phone.